Welcome back, Chiefs Kingdom. This is Locked On Chiefs for Friday, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We have some news for you you're not going to like, but we're going to get you through it and figure out how this defense is going to make their first game of the week, game of the month, game of the season without Willie Gay and how they adapted that. That is the topic of the day. We're going to get you ready for this Labor Day weekend as well. We hope that you're primed for it. We are too. Welcome to Locked On Chiefs.
It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs Podcast.
Hey, it is, I guess it's not Red Friday, but it's close enough.
Simulating, how's that?
There you go. A little bit of news to talk about. Obviously, the Willie Gay transaction we do need to talk about, but Matcus Kemp was brought back to the active roster. That was a move for the Tyrann Mathieu to the COVID list. So in my estimation, I think Kansas City still has an open roster spot.
Yeah, that's kind of how it seems to me as well, too. I haven't seen an update on the Chiefs.com site to make that official yet. So we will let you know when we know. But it was reported yesterday, Kemp's back. That's good. Solidifies you in terms of being able to run all your special teams. He's a guy that's going to lead you through it. I really like, the more I think about it, the way that they've set this roster up, I really like the fact that Kemp, Fortson, and Fountain can be available for special teams. Yes, they can be available in the pass game too, and I do like a little bit more bulk, having like I'm not going to compare them to any former Chiefs receiver, but I like having that big body that's pretty nimble with the ball in their hands.
No, and that's a great situation for Kansas City to be able to bring him back and have that special teams play that he is known for. So I do think that's going to be a good situation for them, and it's something that we kind of figured was going to be the case anyway, with Darius Harris being on the roster as opposed to Matcus Kemp. And we found that out because Willie Gay is a toe injury, and he is now on IR for the first 3 games.
Yeah. And Brett Veach had said that, the injury to Willie had played a role in why they kept 6. And that makes sense. The only problem that I have, and it goes back to this, is the guys that they have, everybody but Willie, is really a Mike. Nobody has the foot speed and the change of direction skills that Willie has. I mean, no one, period. Isaiah Simmons doesn't have that. Yep. But the closest thing that you had to it in the training camp roster was Amari Cobb, who is on the practice squad, but he's not there. Do they elevate him? I don't know. I think this is something we'll talk in the next segment about what they will do. But I think that we have to keep in mind whatever happens against the Cleveland Browns, the Chargers, and game number 3 that just escaped me as I went to say it. It's the not Ravens. Going the Ravens. It's not.
The Ravens are actually the second game. Sorry.
Okay. I still had the right 3, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
All right.
The Chargers are week 3.
Folks, we're recording a little bit late tonight. I'm not exactly on top of the game, but my point being is that it's definitely going to be an adaptation. We'll talk about that in the next segment, but it's not going to be apples for apples because there is nobody specifically like Willie Gay on this roster or anybody else really. But I think that it is something they can overcome. Certainly they can game plan about it. We're going to talk about that here coming up as well. But I want to address the big elephant in the room, the thing that since I had a family event tonight and I've literally come back to, 1,700 tweets about is Willie injury prone now? Is that your read on this?
I don't think I want to go there just yet. It's really hard to call a player injury prone after 2 seasons. And honestly, he played all of last year, and I guess the bigger question is when he started getting playing time, he did get hurt last year. So I guess I could see a case for it, but I don't know that I want to call him injury prone at this point.
Yeah, I don't either. Has he been nicked up? Yeah. I don't know.
But we're assuming it's just going to be 3 weeks. If this is turf toe, which we still don't know, it could be longer.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is another case where you hear things from the team saying, hey, we don't think he's going to have to miss any time. It's going to be fine. It's not turf toe. Okay, well, now it is, at least a minimum of 3 games.
Right.
And so that does lead you towards that because turf toe is something that takes a lot longer to recover from. So that would make sense.
Unless you're super Hoovian like Mahomes.
Well, there is that. And, a good surgeon goes a long way as well.
Yeah, but he didn't have surgery until after the season. So
True.
I don't know how Mahomes came back from that injury. I guess he was, I don't know, what do you want to call him? Do you want to call him hungry to play?
Yeah, I think we could do that.
Hungry to keep going in the playoffs?
Sure, I'm hungry.
Like you what? You're hungry, huh?
Yeah,
Aren't you always hungry?
Well, I got Whataburger in my head now because of Patrick. So.
Oh, why'd you have to go mention that now?
Because I had this, and now I really feel like a cheeseburger instead of this.
Okay, but we're talking about Built Bar right now, so just throw it out there. And you have the props right there. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I'm sure the fans appreciate that. Okay, so Built Bar has 9 delicious flavors. If you haven't tried them all, you really need to. Coconut, cherry barcia, raspberry, mint brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel, strawberry, orange, cookies and cream, German chocolate. My favorite flavor is probably salted caramel, honestly, from those. If you haven't tried all the flavors, you can get a mixed box where you'll get 2 of each of the 9 flavors. Not only are Built Bar flavors the best tasting, but they are healthy too. Check out the macros: 17 to 18 grams of protein, calories ranging from 130 to 180 calories, only 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. Order today and get the grasshopper cookie or raspberry or whatever you like. Built Bar is the official protein bar of the U.S. track and field team. Go to Built.com and use promo code LOCK15. You'll get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com.
Yeah, that works. I'm hungry. Every time.
So we're doing this now.
Yeah, okay. Evidently. Okay. So it comes down to, what do you do when you lose a player that A, looked incredible all through camp, and B, is somebody that you're building this defense around his capabilities? How do you combat that?
Well, I think, and you and I talked before the show started about this, and I want to say this, and I know it's going to probably be a little confusing, but I think this could work to the Chiefs' advantage eventually, because I think this is going to force them to play Nick Bolton earlier than they wanted to. And yes, Nick Bolton is not Willie Gay. I get that. Yes, he's going to struggle. Yes, he's going to have rookie mistakes, but you'd rather get those out of the way quicker than later in the season. So I think this could force them to play Bolton, and Bolton get live game action early on, and could really help them down the stretch.
You're very silver lining about this.
I'm trying. Well, what else are you going to do? I mean, you didn't have Willie Gay last year, so what you could do is you could put in 3 safeties and try to go that way about it. I mean, you can do that. You have the ability to do that. You have the 3 safeties for it. We're assuming Tyrann Mathieu back. So I think you have the sets to do that, but you're still not going to have a guy like Willie Gay on this roster, and you can't have that guy right now.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Honestly, what I would do is probably decide and see how everybody looks in practice this week, and then I might bring Cobb up just for his running ability, because if you get yourself in a situation where you don't feel you have the speed you have to have somebody to go to, even though that's even more of a risk in terms of injury or whatever. But the payoff is you have 2 guys that I think are viable to play his snaps. Are they Willie Gay? No. They're just not that kind of athlete. But you have one in Neiman who this team trusts, Spags certainly trusts, that maybe he looks improved to me in terms of athleticism. He looks like he dropped some weight, and that's been good for him. Mm-hmm. Does that mean that he's ready to be, a starter? No. But he started camp getting a lot of those reps. He's not like totally out of the flow of it. I think that he's a viable option. And maybe this will be interesting. Maybe it's the more important downs, the more critical downs, that they choose to trust him and have him in the game over Nick Bolton, who I think will probably get the majority of the snaps.
Yeah, and that's possible. And I think that what you're looking at is eventually Ben Neiman will not be on this team, but we're talking about this year. Ben Neiman's going to be here because of his smarts, and that's why he's here. Mm-hmm. He's not here for his athleticism. That's a reason they went out and got Willie Gay to begin with. So, I think that that's something you need to take into consideration, is that he's here for his brain and his football IQ. That doesn't necessarily mean he's always going to be in the right position, which is unfortunate, but that's just the way things go. The one thing I will say is, you're sitting here and you're looking at this situation. Willie Gay is going to be out 3 games. If you're going to bring up Cobb and you think that Willie is going to be out just the 3 games, do you bring up Cobb for the Browns? the Ravens, or the Chargers. You can only bring him up for 2.
Right. That's the problem.
You have to bring him. I would think you'd have to bring him up with the Ravens.
Yeah, with Lamar running around, it makes sense.
Right. And I would think that you would probably want him up with the Browns too versus the Chargers.
I don't know.
Mainly because of the running game.
Well, I would probably not actually. Only because you're going to get the running game, yes, from Cleveland. But he's not exactly the inside take-on backer, right? Like, he's there for his speed to cover. And I wonder if Eckler isn't going to be the bigger threat out of the backfield when the Chargers come.
Yeah.
So,
but you could put a safety on Eckler. So
true.
Sorensen's done it before. I think Sorensen will do it again. It's going to be curious to see if they go that direction. And you're right. I do think that they're going to activate. If they don't activate Cobb this week, I'm pretty sure they will against the Ravens because they'll definitely want his speed out there.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought as well. You know, it wasn't exactly what I expected. Obviously, nobody did. But I think there are worse things. I don't think Willie's injury prone. I think it's like bad timing that the one guy that we talked about over the preseason as being somebody you could sign in KJ Wright happens to sign in Las Vegas the same day Willie goes on IR. A little bit of bad luck there. I don't know if the team was even interested, but the whole premise was you wouldn't sign a veteran like that because you wanted to get the snaps for the young guys. So this takes that part of the equation out of the picture.
Yeah, and I do think that that's unfortunate, but at the same time, I don't think that was probably an option. I think they would, if they're going to sign him, they would have signed him before the injury. I think that they would have wanted him there in training camp and gotten some kind of snaps and gotten with the defense because you can't just step in and play defense on this team. I mean, you can step in and maybe play a couple of snaps here and there, but you're not going to know the scheme. You could be out of place, which is going to cost your team. So I do think that if they were going to get him, they would have done it earlier.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. There's, a lot of different ways that they can combat that. Maybe it's more Dan Sorensen time, literally as an inbox backer and nickel, or maybe it's like a truer dime look with just Hitch. I don't know. The interesting thing for me is who do you think out of those two makes the bigger plays? Who do you think's prepped at this point, game one, to have less of a drop-off from Willie Gay?
Sorensen or Neiman?
No, Neiman or Bolton. I'm sorry.
No, okay.
Taking Sorensen out of the picture.
Well, you were talking about – you were just talking about Sorensen. I honestly think it's probably Neiman just because I think Bolton is going to be a guy that I think can step in there, and I think he's instinctual, but he is going to mess up, and it's just going to be reality. I mean, he's going to be out of place, and that's going to cost you. Yeah. So
at the same time, I think he's the one who might make a big play, though. Like I could see him being both ends of the spectrum, right? Like high highs and low lows.
Yep, absolutely, and that's probably what you're going to get from rookies. So the question is who's going to play the most, and I really don't have an answer for that because they trust Neiman. The question is do they trust Bolton? I mean, he was making a lot of plays in camp, so it's possible they've learned to trust him already and that he can play a lot. We'll see.
Could be. I should probably go over and check and see if there's a prop bet over on BetOnline.ag for that. Maybe I'll just kind of pick one and see what happens because it's a toss-up at this point. But football's back, and that's really all that matters. Out there on the gridiron to start the football season. That's what I'm looking for. And our friends at BetOnline.ag are your number one spot for pro and college action that you want to lay on the line. Get all the odds, props, and contests, and check out the online's biggest $500,000 NFL mega contest. I like saying mega. And the world's largest 200,000 NFL Survivor contest. They're both open now over at betonline.ag. And if you sign up with your mobile device today, you get 100% welcome back bonus. So that's all your money, plus the same thing on top of it from them. Take advantage. There's still time right now for the opening day promo as well. That's a bet on the Cowboys versus Bucks. You can wager up to $25, and if they lose, you're still going to get that back. The promo code there is NFL100. BetOnline, the fastest, easiest way to bet all your favorite sports. Use our promo code Locked On at betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts. So what else can they do? I mean, I don't want to make this all about Willie, but let's make it all about Willie. Like this
you don't want to, but we will.
Right? I mean, you got to – I won't say it's a critical game. You can lose this game and still be fine. But I don't think it sets the tone for the season that you want to set to get off to a losing start. So let's pull out the stops. Let's make sure that they shore up this defense. What do you do?
Honestly, I can't say that I think that they're going to lose this game. Andy Reid, going into games that's starting the season, has played very well. I think there's only been one where he didn't play well, and I fully expect that he's going to have a bag of tricks up his sleeve for Cleveland. Now, the flip side of that is Cleveland is going to be ready for this game because Cleveland lost in the playoffs last year, so they're going to be wanting to avenge that. The question you asked is, what do they do? I think it's got to be a multifaceted approach. I think that you're going to be in a situation where you're going to have to play Sorensen and Thornhill and Matthew multiple snaps that you probably didn't plan on playing them. And that's how you're going to have to attack some of this. And then maybe you're going to attack some of it with Bolton. If you can get Bolton in there and have him have specific snaps that are going to help you, great. The bigger question is going to be, how are you going to stop the two-headed running attack? And that's something that Kansas City struggled with. The question becomes, is Frank Clark going to be healthy enough to play? If he is, him and Chris Jones on the outside are going to help. Jerron Reed and Noddy should be pretty stout in the middle. So then you're sitting there with Hitchens, who should be pretty clean to go after the run.
Mm-hmm. Knock on wood. That's the general plan, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm to the point now where, depending on who's in the game, I don't know if I would blitz Neiman that much, but I think you have to bring pressure inside, against the run with Nick Bolton. Just to kick that in the teeth from the very get-go and not let Nick Chubb in particular get on a roll.
Yeah, and I think that that's probably the way that I think that they probably could go that direction. The question is are you going to be willing to blitz your corners? Are you going to be able to risk those types of blitzes or blitz your safeties? Or are you going to put Bolton in and let him go after the QB? Hitchens had a great sack in the preseason, so you have different options. Hitchens looks thinner than he has in the past, so I think that could help him with blitzing. And your corners are good at getting after the quarterback, so are you going to mix things up? Are you going to be more a little bit of attack? What are you going to look like on defense, and which Frank Clark is going to show up?
Yeah,
because that makes a huge difference in all of it.
It does.
I mean, if he just shows up and plays the run like he always does, that's going to be huge.
I think I just came up with it. I think it's hitching Colin Saunders at linebacker.
Oh God. This is what we get when we get Ryan recording late at night.
Let's do this. There's always a solution. You just got to dig for it.
Oh, yeah.
No, but this game in particular, though, and folks, we know that we're giving you a quick look early, but that's because it's the opening week, I think this game, it has the potential to be something that becomes kind of a slugfest. And I don't know if that means that the Chiefs offense isn't quite putting out yet, and they're still in the 20s by the end of the game, or if the Browns are so keyed up from that playoff loss that they come out firing on all cylinders. Excuse me. I have faith that Stefanski's a good coach. I just don't know if he's up for this task.
The big question I'm going to have is, how is Baker Mayfield going to approach this game after getting so few snaps in the preseason? Mm-hmm. Is that going to affect him? Because he only played in the third preseason game. Yeah. Is that going to affect his rhythm? And honestly, this is going to be our first test, and it's a great test for this offensive line. How are they going to fare against a good defensive line in Cleveland? Yeah. Cleveland's defense is no joke. So,
Lucas, be ready.
Yeah.
I mean, the things that they're going to try to stomp between Trey and Lucas is going to be difficult.
Well, and I mean, Orlando Brown, be ready. I mean, I know Orlando Brown played him twice a year in Baltimore, but this is a different offense.
I don't think he's going to see Garrett all day long.
May not. But they still have other good edge rushers.
Yeah.
So, if you're putting Garrett on Lucas Niang all day long, fine. I think Kansas City throws an extra tight end at him if Niang struggles.
Yeah. Or
maybe a fullback.
This could, just to spite me, be the Blake Bell game.
Could. I mean, this game has so many different facets that Kansas City could attack and go with, and it's really going to depend on what Cleveland does to come out as well, because Andy will have his first 15 scripted plays. We know that. That's what he does. But the question is how is that going to play into the rest of the game? How is he going to continue to call the offense? Are things going to be hitting from the start? Is Patrick going to be hitting from the start? And I'm not trying to be overly critical of Patrick, but he has had some off games this preseason. Preseason game number 2, he was kind of off a little bit. There are times where he gets a little more amped and he's off early in the game. If that happens, this could be a more difficult game than it really should be. I think Kansas City is the better team, so I do think that that's going to play into it. But the question is how's this team come out?
Yeah.
You know they're going to be ready. You know they're going to be fired up.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I know that you guys are too. So if you would like, sub, and hit that bell notification, leave your comments down below on YouTube, leave your comments in the iTunes reviews, because yes, all of you out there, we still see you. All the audio platforms are firing away. Even Apple seems to be serving us up very well this week. So, hey, we'll take it.
We are free everywhere. I just want to say that.
I always forget to say that. And there's all these subscriptions now and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. We're not doing that. We will always be free. So take that with what it is. And I hope that you guys all enjoy your holiday weekend. We will be back with you. We will have shows. We'll be getting you ready for this initial game. And I'm looking forward to it. It's about time we had some real football.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I think we're ready. We hope that you're ready. You all have a great weekend. We'll catch you next time.